Every year, one day arrives in a small town, a day everyone fears. A day when people lock their doors, turn off their lights, and pray to survive the night. But this year, one man stayed, and what he discovered that night was far more terrifying than death. It started with a warning. A warning that nobody in the town wanted to talk about. The town of Blackwood, Nevada, looked normal during the day. Small houses, quiet streets, old trees that moved slowly in the wind. People smiled. Kids played outside. But every year, one day was different. People called it the Forbidden Day. No one celebrated it. No one talked about it. And no one went outside after sunset. Daniel Carter had just moved to Blackwood 2 weeks ago. He was 27 years old. He worked from home as a video editor. He liked quiet places. Blackwood looked perfect, at least in the beginning. The first strange thing happened when Daniel met his neighbor. Her name was Mrs. Grant. She was old, very old. Her skin looked pale and thin like paper. She was standing near the fence when Daniel walked outside. "Hello," Daniel said with a smile. She stared at him for a long moment. Then she asked a strange question. "You are new here?" Daniel nodded. "Yes, I moved here 2 weeks ago." The old woman slowly looked at the sky. Then she looked back at him. Her eyes looked nervous. "You must leave tomorrow." Daniel frowned. "Leave?" "Yes," she whispered. "Tomorrow is the Forbidden Day." Daniel laughed a little. "I think I'll be fine." But Mrs. Grant did not smile. She stepped closer. Her voice became lower. "No one should stay in Blackwood tomorrow night." Daniel felt a cold chill. "Why?" he asked. The old woman did not answer. She only said one thing. "Lock your doors. Turn off the lights. And do not answer if someone knocks." Daniel was confused. Who would knock? The old woman's lips trembled. Something that pretends to be human. Then she slowly walked back inside her house. Daniel stood there for a moment. The wind moved through the trees. Something about her voice felt real. Too real. Later that night, Daniel searched online for Blackwood Forbidden Day. But nothing appeared. No news. No stories. Nothing. It was like the town was hiding something. Around midnight, Daniel went to the kitchen to drink water. That was when he heard it. A sound outside. Slow footsteps. Walking on the sidewalk. Daniel looked through the window. A tall figure was walking down the street. Very slowly. Its head turned toward his house. Daniel quickly stepped away from the window. His heart started beating faster. Then something strange happened. The streetlight outside flickered. Once. Twice. Then it turned off. The street became completely dark. Daniel waited. Silence filled the house. Then he heard something that made his blood run cold. A voice outside. Soft. Weak. "Daniel." He froze. The voice sounded exactly like his mother. But his mother lived 3 states away. "Daniel, open the door." The voice sounded tired. Almost hurt. Daniel slowly stepped back from the door. His heart was pounding. Mrs. Grant's warning echoed in his mind. "Do not answer if someone knocks." Then the knocking started. 3 slow knocks. Knock. 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 Daniel did not move. The voice spoke again. But this time, it did not sound human. Daniel stood frozen in the hallway. The knocking continued. Slow. Patient. Knock. 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 His hands were shaking. The voice outside whispered again. "Daniel, I know you are inside." It still sounded like his mother. But something was wrong. The voice had a strange echo. Like 2 voices speaking at the same time. Daniel slowly stepped back. Every instinct in his body told him not to open that door. "Daniel." The voice suddenly changed. Now it sounded deeper. Colder. Almost angry. "Why are you hiding?" The doorknob moved. Daniel's breath stopped. The handle turned slightly. But the door was locked. Something scratched the wood. A long, slow scratch. Like claws. Daniel ran to the window and looked outside. The street was empty. No person. No animal. Nothing. But the scratching continued. Right on the other side of the door. Then suddenly, it stopped. Complete silence filled the house. Daniel waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Nothing. Slowly he walked toward the door. His heart was beating so loud he could hear it. He leaned closer. Listening. Silence. Then something terrible happened. A voice spoke again. But this time, the voice came from inside the house. "Daniel." His blood turned cold. The voice was now behind him. Right in the living room. Daniel slowly turned around. The lights flickered. The hallway became darker. And in the corner of the living room, he saw a tall shape. Standing completely still. It looked like a person. But its body was too thin. Its arms were too long. Its head was slightly bent to the side. Like a broken doll. Daniel could not see its face. Only darkness. Then it slowly took one step forward. The floor creaked. Daniel stumbled backward. What are you?" he whispered. The thing tilted its head. Then it smiled. A wide, unnatural smile. Its teeth were long. Sharp. Too many. Then it spoke. But the voice was no longer his mother's voice. Now it sounded like dozens of whispers together. "We are looking for those who stay on the forbidden day." Daniel ran. He rushed upstairs and locked himself in the bedroom. His breathing was wild. Heavy footsteps slowly climbed the stairs. Step, step, step. Daniel grabbed his phone. No signal. No internet. The footsteps stopped outside the bedroom door. Something sniffed the air. Then the door handle began to move. Slowly, very slowly, Daniel backed into the corner. His mind raced with one terrifying thought. If this was happening the night before the forbidden day, what would happen tomorrow night? Daniel stayed in the corner of the bedroom. His back touched the cold wall. His phone was still in his hand, but the screen had no signal. The house felt wrong now. It did not feel like a safe place anymore. It felt like a trap. Outside the bedroom door something was moving. Slow footsteps. Step, step, step. The wooden floor made a quiet creaking sound. Daniel covered his mouth so the thing would not hear his breathing. Then the doorknob began to move again. Slowly, very slowly. The handle turned left and right. The door shook a little. Daniel whispered to himself, "Please, please go away." The thing outside did not answer. Instead, a scratching sound started again. Long, sharp scratches on the door, like claws sliding across wood. The sound continued for almost a minute. Then suddenly, it stopped. Complete silence. Daniel waited. 30 seconds passed. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Nothing. His heart was still beating fast. Slowly he stood up and walked closer to the door. Maybe it had left. Maybe it was gone. He leaned his ear against the door. Silence. But then he heard something that made his stomach twist. Breathing. Very slow breathing. Right on the other side of the door. The creature was still there. Waiting. Daniel slowly stepped back again. Suddenly the breathing stopped. Then a whisper came through the door. "Daniel." His blood turned cold. "How do you know my name?" he whispered. The voice giggled. A strange broken giggle. "Everyone who stays becomes part of the day." Daniel did not understand. "What day?" he asked. But the voice did not answer. Instead, something heavy slammed into the door. Bang! The door shook hard. Daniel screamed and fell backward. Another slam. Bang! The door cracked slightly near the lock. Daniel's heart was racing now. He quickly ran to the window. Outside the street was dark. But something strange was happening. More figures were walking outside. Tall shapes, moving slowly under the dark sky. They were not normal people. Their bodies were twisted. Their heads turned in unnatural angles. And they were all walking toward houses, toward doors, toward windows. Daniel felt pure terror. This can't be real. Then suddenly every streetlight outside turned off at the same time. The entire neighborhood fell into darkness. The creatures outside stopped walking. They all lifted their heads. At the same time, like they were listening to something. Then every one of them slowly looked toward Daniel's house. Even from the second floor, Daniel felt their eyes. Watching, waiting, and then, all of them started walking toward his house. Daniel ran away from the window. His legs were shaking. Outside, dozens of creatures were now moving toward his house. Their footsteps echoed through the silent street. Slow, heavy, hungry. The bedroom door suddenly cracked again. Bang! Another hit. The wood near the lock began to break. Daniel knew the door would not last much longer. He looked around the room. There had to be another way out. Then he remembered something. The attic. There was a small ladder in the hallway that led to the attic above the house. Maybe he could hide there. Maybe the creatures would not find him. Daniel slowly opened the bedroom window. Cold night air rushed inside. In the distance, he could hear whispering voices. Many voices. They sounded excited. Happy. Like they were waiting for something. Then Daniel heard the front door downstairs break open. Crash. The creatures had entered the house. Heavy footsteps filled the hallway below. Daniel quickly opened the bedroom door and ran. The hallway was dark. He could hear the creatures moving downstairs. Their voices echoed through the house. We smell him. He stayed. He belongs to the day. Daniel ran to the attic ladder and pulled it down. The wood creaked loudly. He climbed quickly. His hands were shaking so badly, he almost slipped. When he reached the attic, he pulled the ladder back up. The attic was dark and full of dust. Old boxes, broken furniture, spider webs in the corners. Daniel sat in the darkness and tried to stay quiet. Below him, the creatures were now walking inside the house. Footsteps everywhere, doors opening, furniture moving. Something sniffed loudly. Then one of them spoke. "He is here," another voice whispered. "Yes, the day is almost here." Daniel did not understand what they meant, but he knew one thing. They were waiting for something worse, something that had not arrived yet. Then suddenly the attic floor creaked. Right behind him, Daniel slowly turned his head. His heart almost stopped. A long, thin hand was slowly rising through a crack in the attic floor. The fingers were pale, too long, too sharp, and then a whisper came from the darkness below. "We found you." The thin hand pushed further through the crack in the attic floor. Its fingers stretched like spider legs. The nails were long and black. They slowly searched the wooden boards above. Daniel crawled backward in silence. His heart was beating so loud he thought the creatures could hear it. The hand kept reaching, scratching, feeling. Then another hand appeared. Then another. The attic floor started shaking as more creatures pushed upward from below. Daniel whispered to himself, "This is not real. This is not real." But it was real. Very real. One of the creatures below laughed. A dry, broken laugh. "Midnight is close." Another voice answered, "Yes, the forbidden day begins soon." Daniel suddenly remembered something Mrs. Grant said. No one should stay in Blackwood tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. Not tonight. That meant something worse was coming. The creatures below were only the beginning. Daniel slowly crawled toward a small attic window. It was dusty and almost blocked by old boxes. He pushed them away and looked outside. The street below was filled with figures. Dozens of them, maybe more. They stood silently in front of houses, looking up, waiting. Their eyes looked empty. Their mouths moved slowly like they were whispering prayers. Daniel felt sick. What are they waiting for? Then suddenly something moved in the sky. A dark shape passed across the moon. It was large, too large to be a bird. The creatures outside suddenly knelt down. All of them, at the same time. Daniel watched in horror as they lowered their heads. Like servants greeting a king. A cold wind rushed through the town. And then he saw it. Something landed on the roof above him. The sound was heavy. Crack. The roof tiles broke slightly under its weight. Daniel froze. Slow footsteps moved across the roof. Step, step, step. Something was walking directly above him. Then a long shadow slid across the attic window. Daniel slowly looked up, and what he saw made his blood freeze. A tall creature crawled down the roof. Its body was thin and twisted. Its arms were long like branches. Its face looked almost human, but its eyes were completely black. And its mouth opened too wide, far wider than any human mouth should. The creature stared directly at Daniel through the attic window, and it smiled. Then it whispered through the glass, "The day has arrived." The creature on the roof slowly pressed its face against the attic window. The glass cracked slightly under the pressure. Daniel could see its black eyes clearly now. They looked deep, empty, hungry. The creature whispered again, "You stayed." Its voice sounded calm, almost happy. Daniel's legs would not move. He could not run. He could not scream. He could only stare. What is the forbidden day?" Daniel asked. The creature tilted its head. Then it smiled wider. "The day we choose." "Choose what?" Daniel whispered. The creature slowly lifted one long finger and pointed at him. "Choose who joins us." Daniel's stomach dropped. The creatures below started chanting softly. Their voices echoed through the house. "The day, the day, the day." The creature on the roof spoke again. "Every year someone stays in this town. Someone curious. Someone foolish. Someone who does not listen." Daniel suddenly understood everything. The town was not cursed. The town was feeding the creatures. Every year someone new arrived. A traveler, a new neighbor, a stranger. And when the forbidden day came, that person disappeared. Daniel's voice shook. "So the town sacrifices someone." The creature laughed softly. "No." Its smile grew wider. "They prepare someone." Daniel felt cold fear spread through his body. "What do you mean?" The creature's eyes glowed slightly in the darkness. "You are not food." It tapped the glass gently. "You are the next one." Daniel's breath stopped. "The next what?" The creature's voice became a whisper. "The next guardian of the forbidden day." Behind Daniel, the attic floor suddenly broke open. Several thin arms reached up and grabbed him. Cold hands wrapped around his legs and arms. Daniel screamed. but the creatures pulled him down through the broken floor. The last thing Daniel saw was the creature outside the window smiling. Then everything went dark. The next morning, the town of Blackwood looked peaceful again. Sunlight touched the quiet streets. Birds were singing. Nothing looked strange. Mrs. Grant stood near her fence again. A moving truck stopped at the house next door. A young woman stepped out. She looked around the quiet street and smiled. "Nice place," she said. Mrs. Grant slowly walked toward her. Her face looked pale. Her eyes looked tired. "Are you new here?" she asked. The woman nodded. "Yes, I just moved here." Mrs. Grant looked at the sky for a long moment. Then she whispered the same words she always said. "You should leave tomorrow." The woman frowned. "Why?" Mrs. Grant's voice trembled. "Because tomorrow." She looked toward Daniel's house. The attic window was open, and for a moment, something tall and thin was standing inside the darkness, watching the street, watching the new neighbor. Mrs. Grant finished her sentence slowly. "Is the forbidden day?"